Joining me now, MS Now Justice and Intelligence reporter Ken Dilanian and Sam Stein and Joyce Vance are back with me. So, Ken, this was super detailed reporting from our friend Devlin about the lengths Kash Patel was going through to make something, anything, stick. Has he been successful yet at exacting the kind of revenge that Trump wants to see? And if so, to what end? What has been the impact to the FBI's credibility as a result?
Well, the impact has been devastating because the grand conspiracy case is ridiculous on its face. What Devlin did in this story that was very effective was he delved into the experiences of two Trumpy U.S. attorneys in Virginia, a man named Todd Gilbert and a man named Eric Siebert, who were, again, these were Trump-inclined people. They went to work for the Trump administration. They were handpicked by Trump and his allies to lead the U.S. attorney's offices in the Eastern and the Western District of Virginia. But when asked to take on these absurd cases, they looked around and said, there's no evidence here. We can't do this. And they both got fired as a result. And in the first instance, Kash Patel is making a big deal about the fact that he found classified documents in burn bags, and he suggests at the FBI, and he's suggesting that somehow that's evidence of a cover-up. I've done reporting on this, and I've talked to people who say that it's just ridiculous. I mean, every piece of evidence that the FBI collects is entered into electronic systems and is preserved. There's no conspiracy. There's no effort to sort of make things disappear. And the idea behind this grand conspiracy case, don't forget, is that going all the way back to 2016 and the FBI people who were concerned about Trump campaign dalliances with the Russian government, that effort was somehow linked to the Jack Smith prosecutions, and it's all one thing designed to essentially frame Donald Trump for crimes he didn't commit and violate his rights. It's absurd, but what this whole thing demonstrates is that they're not willing to take no for an answer. Even when their own handpicked U.S. attorneys say, nope, there's no case here, we can't do this, they just fire them and move on and find people who will bring the cases. And, they tried to get Lindsay Halligan in as the U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia to replace Eric Siebert. She didn't last very long, and she wasn't able to bring any successful cases. But they do have this grand conspiracy thing going out of Florida, where Judge Eileen Cannon, remember her, who presided over the classified documents case, is presiding over this grand jury. And so a lot of people are worried that there will be a lot of shenanigans before this thing is all said and done, Alex.
Yeah, like the slow rolling that she did of that case in Florida. So, Sam, Kash Patel led this effort, but do we know who pushed him to do it, or was it of his own volition to try to use the FBI and the DOJ to pursue this grand conspiracy case?
Well, it's a bit of knowing that your boss, in this case, the president of the United States, believes in this stuff and wants to see it prioritized. And then a little bit, I think, is of just Kash's own making, in that he's been out there prior to becoming FBI director, going on these podcasts, pushing these conspiracies, arguing that there was a cabal of deep state actors who were trying to get Trump throughout the first term and then were trying to ostensibly prevent him from becoming president again between his first and second term. The problem that he's running into is not just what Ken's outlining. It's that, it is what Ken's outlining. This stuff doesn't exist. And so just to give you a small sliver of the pressures that he's under, Donald Trump on Meet the Press this past weekend once again resurfaced the idea that January 6th was a peaceful protest and that anyone who was being disruptive was actually being aided by FBI officials who were undercover in the audience there, shepherding them into the Capitol so they could be disruptive and destructive. Kash Patel has actually denied that. As FBI director, he has said that they were there as part of some sort of monitoring operation and not to actually stir the pot. And yet here he has the president of the United States continuing to repeat a conspiracy theory. Now, I'm not trying to excuse him, nor am I excusing Kash's conduct here. But if your boss, the president, who's quite vindictive and will fire you if he doesn't think you're pursuing his agenda with enough zeal, if he's the one pushing conspiracies that you've yourself debunked, then yeah, you have to continue doing this type of stuff. Kash may still believe it, but on occasion he has let it become known that some of this stuff just is not true.
Joyce, let's pick up on the burn bags that Ken mentioned, because Patel claims he found a secret room of evidence at the FBI that confirms his suspicions about this conspiracy. According to the Times, quote, to Mr. Patel, those documents found in government burn bags, large brown paper bags with red and white stripes used to store papers designated for destruction, justified a sweeping investigation of former officials. To the former officials and the career investigators who looked at the evidence, the papers in the burn bags were nothing like a smoking gun. So what kind of documents may have been in those burn bags?
Right. So there are federal regulations that actually govern the disposal of federal papers, including Justice Department papers, and typically in two situations: one where a case has been closed for a certain number of years, then because of storage requirements, physical storage for actual paper case files, those files might be destroyed. And then the other option, of course, is when you have classified materials. Those are handled very carefully, and when it's time to dispose of them, they're frequently burned. Every Justice Department employee is familiar with the use of burn bags and how they're handled very carefully to protect, to avoid compromising the integrity of that information while it's in the process of being destroyed. So look, it's super unusual, this notion that the director of the FBI would just stumble upon a room. And I suspect that there's more to the story. Maybe somebody asked him, do you want to see the disposal areas? Perhaps someone suggested to him that there was something nefarious going on. But this information that was in the burn bags, as Ken has already pointed out, was almost certainly part of the electronic storage of Justice Department materials, not being destroyed in that sense. Certainly not smoking gun evidence, because the FBI, that's a big operation. It involves agents, prosecutors, but also staff people and the folks who facilitate the disposal. And the idea that all of these people would have been complicit in destroying this particular species of evidence is utterly ludicrous, as is the idea that when that was in progress all those many years ago, no one revealed it, only for Kash Patel to stumble upon it in the 11th hour.